Hello, and welcome to episode 38 of Desert Fathers with Bishop Erik Varden. I'm Jamie Baxter from Exodus 90, and it's a privilege to journey with you as we continue our trek into the desert. We're meditating this month on the 8th chapter of the systematic collection of the sayings of the Desert Fathers on not showing off. Last week, we saw how silly we look when we try to win the praise of others, exchanging our bread for chickpea meal at the chagrin of our bakers. Bishop Varden noted how Abba Theodore's focus upon the topic of vainglory was likely the fruit of his own struggle with the sin, which can be encouraging to us as we fight our own battles. Another such saying from Abba Theodore goes like this: "You've not yet found a ship to sail in, nor put your luggage aboard, nor put out to sea, and you're already acting as if you were in the city which you mean to reach." And he concludes, "If you make some attempt to do the things you are discussing, then you can talk about them with understanding." Has there ever been a time with so much empty talk as our own, when everyone has a platform from which to preach? How can we ensure that our words correspond to truth and emerge from within our experience? With that, I'll hand it over to Bishop Varden as we read and meditate on a saying from Abba Serapion. This is episode 38 of Desert Fathers, Professions of Humility.
Abba Cashion said that a brother once came to Abba Serapion, and that the elder had invited him, as was his custom, to make a prayer. The other fellow, though professing himself a sinner and declaring himself unworthy of the monastic habit, wouldn't hear of it. Abba Serapion then wished to wash his feet, but he did not consent, saying the same sort of thing. When the elder let him have some food, he began, while they were eating, to exhort him in charity, saying, "My child, if you want to profit, remain in your cell. Mind yourself and your manual labor. Being out and about does you no good. It is much more beneficial to stay put." When the brother heard this, he was irritated. His expression changed so much he could not keep it hidden from the elder. Then Abba Serapion said to him, "Up until now you have been saying, 'I am a sinner.' You have been declaring yourself unworthy of life itself. But then, when with love I admonished you just a little, you got very cross. If then you truly wish to become humble, learn to bear bravely what others say to you, and do not be full of empty talk." Having heard these things, the brother prostrated himself before the elder and retired, greatly profited. To speak of high ideals is delightful. It is easy to assume that by talking of virtues I acquire them, rather the way we might think that by purchasing a book we've read it. The profile of the recent convert who holds forth endlessly on subjects of ascesis and theology after picking up a few bits here and there from sermons and books, or these days YouTube videos, is a type we can recognize. We may even see in it a previous version of ourselves and blush a little. The man who came to see Serapion was not necessarily a hypocrite. Serapion was a giant among the fathers. A friend of Antony's, he was mentioned in his will. When Antony lay dying, he bequeathed a sheepskin to Athanasius, another to Serapion, likewise a bishop, entrusted with the church of Tmuis in Lower Egypt. Jerome says of Serapion that, on account of his cultivated genius, he was found worthy of the surname Scholasticus. In addition, that he wrote several excellent books and was renowned as a confessor of the faith. Any young monk would have felt pretty overwhelmed in this august presence, thinking it unseemly to adopt a posture of prominence by presiding at prayers. We can imagine why such a one would wholeheartedly protest when the old man proposed to bow down and, like a servant, wash his sand-encrusted feet. As Queen Gertrude in Hamlet might have said, though, the monk doth protest too much, methinks. There's just too much self and a certain satisfaction evident in all this professed selflessness. Serapion picks this up. He resolves to use the occasion to help this visitor grow up a little. Amiably at table, in a dynamic of fellowship, he suggests that what this man needs is to focus on essentials, practicing stability and perseverance in his soul. Why run around collecting the signatures of famous people when the one thing needful is to learn quietness, gainful work, and the art of holding one's tongue? On hearing this, the visitor's face underwent visible change. Like Cain on seeing his sacrifice rejected, his countenance fell. He felt angry and hurt. Clearly he had expected commendation on account of his humility, congratulations on his effort to seek out a holy man. Instead he was asked, "Why aren't you at home plaiting ropes?" He could not keep his displeasure hidden from the elder, try as he might. We know how useless it is to stop ourselves blushing in public when something upsets or embarrasses us. An inward conflict is revealed at Serapion's table. What it shows up is this. Pride has a deep hold on this visitor who professed himself so humble. Serapion's rebuke is courteous but firm. He is concerned to let the other man see he lacks integrity. His words are not in concert with who he is. He is caught in a web of pretense, and this is a trap into which people who profess faith in public may readily fall. Think of the reaction of those who heard Jesus proclaiming the Sermon on the Mount. When he finished, having evoked the fearful fall of a house not founded on a rock, they were astonished at his doctrine, for, they said, he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes. The Greek word for authority is exousia. The preposition ex means out of. Ousia is the word for being. It comes from the same root that yields our word ontology. What impressed people in Jesus was the fact that his words came from what he was. An outwardly compelling, credible expression of inward truth. He was of a piece, so dependable. There is pathos in the remark, not as the scribes, a caste of religious professionals who had made the spouting of religious certainties their livelihood. Let's think twice before we look upon the biblical scribes with scorn. They have much in common with devout people of every age. This story challenges us to weigh our words before we speak them. It recalls a counsel St. Benedict gives in the 4th chapter of the Holy Rule. Not to wish to be called holy before one is, but to be so first, whereby one would be so called the more truly. It's also a story that makes me smile wistfully. When I think back over my own experience as a religious superior, I ascertain that no letters I received were more predictably obnoxious and out of touch than the one signed, "Yours humbly."
Abba Cassian said that a brother once came to Abba Serapion, and that the elder had invited him, as was his custom, to make a prayer. The other fellow, though, professing himself a sinner and declaring himself unworthy of the monastic habit, would not hear of it. Abba Serapion then wished him to wash his feet, but he did not consent, saying the same sort of thing. When the elder let him have some food, he began, while they were eating, to exhort him in charity, saying, "My child, if you want to profit, remain in your cell. Mind yourself and your manual labor. Being out and about does you no good. It is much more beneficial to stay put." When the brother heard this, he was irritated. His expression changed so much he could not keep it hidden from the elder. Then Abba Serapion said to him, "Up until now you have been saying, 'I am a sinner.' You have been declaring yourself unworthy of life itself. But then, when with love I admonished you a little, you got very cross. If then you truly wish to become humble, learn to bear bravely what others say to you, and do not be full of empty talk." Having heard these things, the brother prostrated himself before the elder and retired, greatly profited. May we heed Abba Serapion's rebuke, speak more from our experience, and plainly admit when we have nothing to say. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode. If you have been blessed by the podcast, please share it with a friend today. Desert Fathers is brought to you by Exodus 90, produced by EWTN, and written by Bishop Erik Varden. Men, for the past year, the Desert Fathers have modeled for us the life of uncommon freedom in Jesus Christ. This January, take up the example of the Fathers and embrace a life of prayer, asceticism, and fraternity. Leave behind the pharaohs and idols that keep you enslaved, and take up the journey to the Promised Land. Join me and tens of thousands of men from all around the world for the Exodus 90 Challenge. We start January 5th, 2026. Download the Exodus 90 app or visit exodus90.com to learn more. All Holy Fathers and Mothers of the Desert, pray for us.